just wandered up here to our next little run for the day. So what we're doing is just standing back a little bit and just having a look at where we think a fish might be likely to sit in this little run that we've got here. It's always a good thing to do, is just to stand back a little bit and just have a look and see, firstly, if you can see any signs of a fish. So you might see one rise, you might see a little swirl or a tail or something like that that gives a fish away. Or you're really just looking at where you think some likely spots that the fish might sit will be, which is where you're going to obviously try and put your flies as you walk up. So don't be too fast to sort of jump in there and put your fly straight into the A1 spot. Often fish will sit in different places as well, not just particularly where you think they're going to be. So stand back and really come up with a plan. So have a bit of a plan of what you're going to do and how you're going to attack that run before you just jump into it. Obviously we're walking up nice and slowly as well, nice and carefully with our feet, so we don't give ourselves away to the fish. That's really important. And while we're doing that, we're just having a look and seeing where we think the fish might be sitting. So this is quite a good run with quite a few different spots that a fish could sit. So you can see over on the left-hand side here, there's a pretty shallow, shingly sort of gravelly bank. So generally a fish won't sit in water that shallow, but you can also see a couple of depressions there too, or slightly deeper parts of water, which could be likely spots for a fish to hold. So I'll certainly be putting at least a cast or two over onto my left there to start off with. As we move across to the right, you can see that gravelly sort of bank drops away into some deeper water. There's a bit of weed here in front of me as well, but that looks quite deep, and obviously a faster flow there as we come over to the right into the middle of the run. So that's probably where you'd say is the most likely spot for a fish to sit in this run. There's a nice bit of flow there, nice bit of depth, so that's probably going to be your ideal water. So with that flow in the middle there, we're going to want to start off short with our casts and then gradually lengthen them out so that we don't spook any fish that could be closer to us than what we anticipate. So that's probably going to be the prime water. Right over on the right hand side here, it's still quite deep and it's slower as well, so that could also be a spot that a fish sits, particularly if the flows in the river are a little bit higher. So if it is really charging down the water, the fish are going to want to sit in some slightly slower stuff, so it's not quite as hard for them to hold their position there. So this right hand side does look quite good too, and I'd certainly be wanting to cover that off quite well in that slower sort of broader section over on the right hand side here. And all the way up to the rocks as well, in that faster flowing water that you can see rushing through those larger rocks up there. That's going to be really well oxygenated water. You know, could be a fish sitting in that as well. A small rainbow trout or something like that would be a likely sort of fish that you'd expect to see sitting in that faster water. So that's a really good run there with lots of different spots that a fish could be sitting. And you certainly want to work your way up pretty meticulously using that grid system that we talk about all the time to really pick off those spots and make sure you don't leave anything left behind, so you're covering everything, and hopefully you find a couple of fish in there as you wander up.